Tighten up. Let's get tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up. Tightened up.
It's a brand new dance and we about to go live. Tighten up, Nashville, rep the 615. First you tighten 2 steps, step to the right. Then you tighten 2 steps, step to the left. Blue jerseys everywhere, game face, yeah we got it on. Sticking out our chest, beating on it like it's King Kong. Countdown, it's about to get rough. Here come the train, y'all. Tennessee, tighten up.
What's up, guys? 65 South Sports. It's your boy Jason with all of my homies. About to talk some Titans. What's up, guys?
What it do?
What's
going on?
All right, so today we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about the free agency stuff. Obviously, not much has happened since last week. We had Josh Reynolds signing, and then pretty much nothing too crazy since then. But we're going to kind of take it in a direction, talking about the AFC South as a whole, so we can kind of look forward to this season. We're also going to talk about Dory Jackson leaving, signing with the Giants. And then whatever else comes to mind, we're going to kind of go off the rip a little bit, have a little fun. How y'all doing?
Good.
Pretty good. Solid.
All right. So, Josh Reynolds. This kind of sucks, honestly, because before the show, we were talking a little bit, having our fun, pregame stuff. And we were like, all right, so what's Josh Reynolds' contract talking about? And we could find nothing. So, I mean, it's kind of like we don't really know what to expect, but obviously it's a one-year deal, so it's a bet on yourself deal. That's what I call it. I was watching his tape, and we were kind of talking about this too. He's 6'3", and they normally line him up in the slot, which is completely different than what Adam Humphries is. Adam Humphries is a small, shifty kind of guy, whereas Josh Reynolds isn't really that. He's more of a jump ball kind of guy. I'm going to let Chandler take it off first real quick just to get his thoughts on it. What do you think the difference is, and how do you think his game is going to impact the Titans offense in 2021?
It's definitely going to be based off of how to utilize him personally, because if you draft, you guys have been talking about the kid out of Ole Miss, is Elijah Moore.
Yep.
So, if you end up say you end up drafting him, you're not going to have a 6'3" guy probably lining up in the slot as they were doing in L.A. But, Sean McVay, that's a completely different offense than whatever I guess the Titans are going to be running now. I mean, who knows what this new guy is going to be. I mean, he may implement what Arthur Smith had. He may not. With Josh Reynolds, per se, I would imagine 6'3" lining up on the outside. I don't know. He may not even be their number 2 at this point. I mean, I would imagine he's probably not, but I guess at this point on the depth chart, he would be. But, he was behind, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. He probably wasn't even their 4th option, because you got to think Gerald Everett, Tyler Higbee. And you got the running backs that golf would dump it down to. So, honestly, last year was definitely his most productive year when it came to receptions and targets. He only had 2 touchdowns his sophomore year. His second year in the league, he had 5 touchdowns. But he started producing more, and especially when Cooper Kupp and them went out, he was starting to become the guy for them. So, I don't know. He's young, so like you said, he's going to be on a prove-it deal. So, it'd be interesting just to kind of see, because, honestly, if this offense is staying the same from what Arthur Smith is, he's going to have his opportunities. We saw what Corey Davis and A.J. Brown were able to do with 2 people. Now, we didn't see as much from Adam Humphries as you would probably like, but, he's there. If he's your 3rd or 4th option this year, 600 yards, that'll probably get it done for you.
I was thinking the same thing, because looking it up now, Adam Humphries last year had 228 yards, and obviously we know he was banged up and whatnot. Yep. But it's just one of those things where it's like you can't honestly, like, no disrespect, but you really can't get much worse than that from a wide receiver number 3. So in my opinion, Josh Reynolds really, he can't not be an upgrade at least in some aspect as long as he stays healthy. But like you said, kind of being behind.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, one noticeable thing is 29 of his 52 catches were first downs. So, at least he's getting past the sticks when he is making the catch for at least over half the time.
It's funny, kind of going back to that, like, when the Titans had Tajay Sharp, one of the guys that I really like, he kind of reminds me of Tajay almost. He's not super fast. He's not, like, super twitchy or nothing like that. But if the ball gets thrown his way, most of the time he's coming down with it.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know if that's kind of going to be his kind of role. And also, they were about the same size too. So I mean, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But I'm looking forward to it. Demo, what do you think?
I definitely excuse me. I agree with Chandler, but I also do want to support the fact that he said, I don't think, for me, this signing doesn't change anything in the draft per se. I still think you have to get a legit bona fide number 2 receiver opposite of A.J. Brown, definitely with the departure of Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. What you said is a whole bunch of ways. Tajay could line up in the slot, but he could also play the X. He can line outside as well. You know, and when you look at Reynolds tape, like, yeah, he is in the slot too, but he's tall enough you could stick him outside. And that's something that, you know, the Titans kind of needed, you know, outside of AJ, is that they needed somebody to, like, be on the opposite side of AJ, but also to, you know, just convert the sticks, because that was supposed to be Humphrey's job, but he didn't even live up to it because of injuries and availability. So, you know, I still think you have to find your number 2 guy, regardless in the draft. Like, whether if that's, you know, Elijah Moore or whoever you want to stumble upon. But I think this is a real solid signing. We don't know the numbers, so all we know is it's a 1-year deal. So that's interesting. But I'm still excited to see what else they can do with this offense, because Josh Reynolds is, like, really solid. It's kind of like how Chandler said, he was shadowed a lot behind, like, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and, you know, just a whole bunch of, you know, slew of guys over there in LA. And so I'm really excited to see what they do, and I'm excited to see, you know, the progression of the draft and the expansion of the wide receiver room.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of his salary, I was looking this up on Over the Cap. They kind of deal with, like, salary and like cap hits and stuff like that. They say his value is roughly like $6 million per year. So it's not too expensive for a receiver. It's kind of, you know, I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's just kind of whatever. So I'm assuming his deal's probably somewhere around there, if I had to guess. But one thing that I kind of wanted to bring up to y'all too, speaking about Josh Reynolds and, like, trying to find that true number 2, which I'm gonna let Welton kind of take over from here. And if y'all want to jump in after him, y'all can. But I saw on our first episode, which you can find on 65 South Sports on YouTube, one of the guys that commented on it, one of the guys that always watches our stuff, his name's Brandon. He's a big Bama fan. And I don't see this happening, but he was commenting saying how apparently Devontae Smith might fall in the first round, which I don't see it happening, obviously. But, yeah, Welton, I know Welton likes that too. But that's what I was getting to, was Josh Reynolds is not a wide receiver too, and I think pretty much everybody agrees with that. So, Welton, I know recently we were talking about just Josh Reynolds and how, like, he's not necessarily a wide receiver too in a lot of people's position, in a lot of people's opinion, which I think we all agree with. But apparently, guys like Devontae Smith might fall. Guys like Rashad Bateman might be there late in the first round for the Titans. Do you think it's a loss in terms of, like, overall free agency draft type stuff if the Titans aren't able to hit on a receiver, and if Josh Reynolds is the primary guy that they got out of this free agency class?
Oh, yeah. So I definitely think it'll be a loss. When you got guys like Curtis Samuel that you could have snagged as a legitimate number 2 that's very flexible. You guys, you know, like you said, you could throw money at Kenny Golladay if you're clearing the cap. I mean, granted, that's a lot of money. I'm just saying, though, you could have thrown money at some of these receivers, and even Marvin Jones. He's a certified wide receiver number 2. You know, so you had a few little, you know, higher veteran options that are NFL, you know, ready from the jump and don't have to kind of get into that learning curve. But that's something that Chandler did say, though, is that, you know, wide receivers are able to kind of thrive now in today's game very seamlessly. But one thing I did kind of want to talk about Reynolds is that his stats this year, of course, like he said, 52 receptions, 618 yards, 2 touchdowns, about almost like 11.9, 12 yards per reception. But Corey Davis, his 2019 stats were 43 receptions, 601 yards, 2 touchdowns, and about 14 per. And that's when he was wide receiver number 2 when we went to the AFC Championship. So we understand that, you know, we did have a very prolific offense last year, and we were almost spoiled to riches by having so many great, you know, versatile pass catchers as far as Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, Humphreys, as though, you know, his availability was off and on. But he can replace that baseline production that Corey Davis gave us when we, had the most success. So I won't say it'll be a 100% loss, but I will say that it'll be a loss if you don't continue to add. But this is a draft that J-Rob has to get right, so he will 100% be drafting a wide receiver in the first or second round. I think Josh Reynolds might have bought you some time so that maybe it's not priority number one. You know what I'm saying? So it's the best player available, right? Is it if Devontae Smith falls, if Jalen Waddle's there, if you like Bateman at 22, or you can go ahead and draft Horn at 22 if that's where you want to go with your number one lockdown and put that off and maybe even get what's the kid from Super Swole Ant-Man from Purdue?
Rondale Moore, my boy.
This man's a 5'7" with a 42.5-inch standing vert 4.29, like benching, like
doing it for the short king.
Squatting 600, like, bro, what?
Man, he doing it for the short king.
Bro, what is he on, bro? Like, but if he's there, at 53, if he's there, more towards that later round, maybe we can kind of snag him, and he can really be that deep threat, which allows you to not be able to stack the box against Derrick Henry in that play action. So it really depends, but I think he bought us some time. But I thought that was interesting. His stats last year were very similar to Corey Davis's stats when he was a wide receiver number 2, 2019. So,
no, for sure, that's a good point because I honestly didn't think about looking at that. But I mean, me and Demo, we've been riding with CD for years. I mean, like even before the Titans took him, we were real high on him. So I mean, if he's able to kind of produce to that level, even if it's not necessarily like game-breaking talent, game in and game out, like. If he's just the number 3 and we're able to get a number 2 that can kind of take the weight off him, I feel like that's a win, but you're kind of banking on the fact that your wide receiver 2 works out. And I mean, Chandler and me kind of disagree on this, honestly, because he thinks that, receivers transition easily. And I think sometimes they do, but it's real rare. Like A.J. Brown, like guys like Justin Jefferson, like those guys are not very common, where they come in and just start balling from week 1. In my opinion. But, I mean, I know me and Chandler don't agree on everything, so that's cool. It's because all these kids want to play receiver. That's the thing. It's like the flashy position. You get all the swag. Yeah, you get paid. Like, cornerbacks can't really touch you. Like, I mean, they're making your job easy. You just got to go up and get the ball. That's it. I mean.
That's it.
So, I get it. I get it completely. But I just wonder, like, with how close the Titans have been these past few years, my thing is they pretty much need like guaranteed success at the positions that they're lacking. Because you got to think, like, all right, you take Josh Reynolds off the board, you take AJ off the board. The depth after those guys, even if you take the receiver off the board that they're trying to draft, they don't have much. They got Cam Batson, who's about the same size as me, and they've got a whole bunch of like random guys like Nick Westbrook, Akeem, and look, no disrespect, but I'm not saying you can ride with him for 16 games on a year. I just don't see it. You got to have some guys that you can depend on when guys like AJ go down or guys like Josh Reynolds go down. And the Titans don't really have that at the wide receiver position. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting because if guys start to go down, that depth is thin right now. So, I kind of hope that whoever they do end up going with comes in and does a good job early on. But I mean, look, you go out and you get my boy Rondale Moore doing it for the short Kings, 5'7", just absolutely balling. Look, I'm happy with that. You go out and you get Jamar Chase from LSU, physical freak, just catching every ball that gets thrown to him. I'm good with that too. We just got to get something that is consistent, in my opinion. Because AJ's gonna ball. It doesn't matter who's on him. He's gonna catch that ball. So I mean, you can rely on AJ at the very least. I mean, he was balling on one leg last year. They told him his season was done after week 2. So, I mean, and we know what happened. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Josh Reynolds. I think one thing also I wanted to kind of throw in at the end before we head into Dory is, one thing that may be a little different for him is Sean McVay's play calling versus Shane Bowen's. That's the one thing that's going to be kind of different, I think, because I feel like even though I think a lot of people have kind of changed the way they look at Sean McVay here recently, he's still, I'd say, one of the best play callers in the league. So the way that he's utilizing the routes, yeah, from a play design standpoint, I think it may be a little different for Josh, and he may take time to develop and really get comfortable in that system. So he may not come in and be super productive from day one. But I don't know. All right, so next topic we were going to talk about, instead of somebody that we signed, we're going to talk about somebody that signed elsewhere with Dory Jackson, former first-round pick. I know Welton's chomping at the bits at that one, but no, we're gonna skip over that. So Adoree Jackson signed with the Giants, and his big brother, as he refers to him, Logan Ryan, up there in New York. Another positional group the Titans have not very much depth at is cornerback, and especially with Desmond King signing with the Texans, it's an interesting conversation to have. So what are we thinking about Dory Jackson? And what are we looking forward to? Because you lost not just one starting corner, you lost 3 starting corners. You lost Malcolm Butler and Desmond King as well. Welton, what are you thinking about this, about Adoree leaving, and how do you think it's going to impact this defense moving forward?
Yeah, and we also lost Vaccaro, so that's another. I mean, I know it's not a corner, but still a DB.
Yep.
But I mean, I'm always happy to see a black man get paid first and foremost, regardless of the situation. So good for him. He got paid about 13 a mil a year, roughly.
16.
16.
And
16 per or close to.
He's getting 16 per. About 25, 28, somewhere in that range, guaranteed. If I believe I saw it correctly. Reunited with Logan Ryan, someone he had continuity with at least 1 or 2 years with here down in Tennessee. So I think the Giants are doing a pretty good job, and a lot of teams are kind of, how similar to how the Titans kind of bit off the Patriots' old talent, or now kind of biting off Pittsburgh's old talent because they signed a linebacker. His name is what is his name?
special teams guy. Yeah.
Ola Adeyemi. They signed him off, so they're kind of picking off, how they're picking off talent. I think similar teams are picking off talent from us that we're kind of letting go and slide, same thing. So, but like I said, I'm definitely happy for him, but we do have a lot of holes that we do have to, fill up, right? We have Fulton that we drafted last year, which is great. We signed Jack Rabbit, cool. Signed Johnson for some depth. Great. That's quick. Homo. He's a long receiver. Long deep. DB, so he can play outside corner.
The funny thing, we might have to cut this out, but the funny thing is he said no homo, he's a long D, and it cut out. Like when he said that.
I was trying to say he's a long DB. Like he had the length to be able to be physical.
Zoom just froze on you saying D.
Your internet cut out when you said long D, and it was like the worst time possible.
Oh man! But the point of the story is, we need DB help. Point blank. Period. So whether that's first round in the draft, second round, third, fourth, fifth, we can take one each round. No cap. As long as we get a receiver, we could just draft straight DBs, receivers, and maybe get tight end, and we could really be good. But I think that this is something that we do have to prioritize, like Jason said early in the draft. If it's not wide receiver, it's DB in the first round. If it's not DB, it's wide receiver. And then the second round should be the opposite. So we definitely need to plug these holes in. But like I said, happy for him to get paid. Glad he's going to the NFC, not another AFC rival or anything of that nature. So happy for him to, be in a Big Apple, bigger market. Hopefully he thrives there.
Speaking of that Pittsburgh linebacker we signed, not Bud, but the special teams one, Ole.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all see what he said with his first interview today in Nashville?
Mm-mm.
It's kind of funny. I guess he thought he coined the phrase Cashville, and everybody was like, "Bro, we've been saying Cashville for years. This isn't new." I don't know. I thought it was funny. I was like, "Man, just because you started moving down here doesn't mean you can start talking like us. You got to cut that out, man. That's not new. There's Cashville or Smashville. We could go on for days." Anyways, I just thought that was funny. I was like, "Bro, no." Nah, you didn't do that. All right, so Demo, what are you thinking? I know you're a defensive back yourself, and I know me and you, we kind of rode with Adoree when I feel like nobody else was. So what are you thinking about Adoree leaving and heading to New York?
This puts me at a very interesting crossroads, because for me, this either means I've seen this on Twitter, I believe, and it kind of got my gears turned a little bit. And somebody said they said this move either means the Titans were right or the Giants were right. So one of these teams is going to have to be wrong, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
The
I was so expecting the word wrong to come out his mouth. I was like, wait, what?
Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Now, hear my theory out, right? Okay, so look. So, Dory obviously got cut. So, if the Titans are right, that means he got cut and he's worth getting rid of. Point blank period. Now, the reason how they could be wrong is that the Giants gave him 16 per. That's a lot of money. I'll read you guys the only cornerbacks in the NFL who are making 16 per. And I want y'all to let me know, or whatever, if y'all think Adoree Jackson's better or on even level with these guys. Byron Jones, Darius Slay, Trey White, Marlon Humphreys, Jalen Ramsey. I like Adoree, but he ain't better than those guys. And even the guys who are making up to 13, he ain't better than those guys. But that's a lot, and I'm pretty sure, I think Logan Ryan has something to do with that, and it's just crazy because I was just like, dang, like we missed out on, re-signing Adoree back, or letting Butler go. Our cornerback room is just depleted right now. But when I was looking at that money, I was like, I'm kind of glad the Titans didn't re-sign him, or we're planning to sign him in general, because that's a lot of money. So that's like the thing I was kind of dealing with it. So, hey, if Adoree comes back and he's a top 10, top 5 cornerback in the league, then the Giants were right all along. I'll eat my words. Then I won't say anything about him making 16 per. But coming from, the Titan side of things and what we saw last year, it's hard for me.
And his injury history, that's the main thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to hop in real quick and say is that I know PFF, some people are believers in it. Chandler hates it, whatever. But I know as far as PFF rankings, he was up there with like right behind Stephon Gilmore and somebody else. But like as far as top elite coverage numbers, so one, he probably used that to his advantage and to leveraging to get that contract. Two, I know he's supposed to meet with Philly, who is a division rival, NFC East, which is a very weak division. Even with that coming back, I'm going to keep it a band. Like, it's still a very weak division. Zeke's not eating like he's supposed to. Dak's still going to be a question mark when he gets healthy and gets back into the flow of things. They're not going to be a strong offensive line, another year older. So things, I don't know. I'm not saying that it's just a division that's up for grabs, but, essentially it is. And so if they want to, go all in with spending on Golladay, spending on Jackson, shoring up that secondary and that wide receiver core and really helping as much as they can to really make a push, cool. But, that's one thing I did want to say. They were probably competing with Philly, and he had the numbers to back it up. But
yeah, for sure. I mean,
they were paid at the end of the day, I think. So.
Man, Demo, can you run those names one more time?
Yeah, so the cornerbacks that are making over 16 per, Byron Jones at 16.5, Darius Slay 16.6, Trey White at 17.2, Marlon Humphreys at 19.5, Jalen Ramsey at 20 flat.
I'm going to keep it real with y'all real quick. I don't think Adoree's better than any of them boys. Any of them. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's not close.
I mean, the only one you can kind of make an argument for is Byron Jones, and Byron Jones is legit. So, and Byron Jones doesn't have health issues either. So, I mean, that's crazy.
How tall?
I don't know.
How tall is Adoree compared to them, anyways? I mean, how tall? Like,
yeah, like 5'11". We saw him in training camp. He ain't that tall.
And that's probably with cleats on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's listed at 5'10", 5'11", bro. When I stood next to him, maybe 5'9", I think. Like I'm like 5'7", and he was like barely taller than me. So
he's a little corner. If you're going up against 6'5", 6'4" receivers that can high point the ball, like, come on now.
Hey, I'll give it to him though. Adoree's a dog. Like, he plays bigger than he is, but like, man, I'm just saying, like, you're small, you're injury prone. Look, if you're telling me I need to pick between you, Trey White, Jalen Ramsey, all them boys, I'm picking them. honestly, personally. That's what's crazy to me is like anytime I think about the secondary, it's like, all right, so all these guys are gone. Vaccaro, Butler, Adoree, and King, right? So all you've got left from like guys that actually played consistently last year is Byard, Amani Hooker in spurts. Like he didn't play a lot, but he played in spurts. And then am I missing anybody? Like off the top of my head, I don't.
Well, you said consistently. So that was the disclaimer, but I mean, Fulton played a game or two, but
Okay, yeah, but that's my thing. Fulton, okay, yeah, Fulton too, but he's a second-year guy. You know what I mean? And it's like he really didn't even have a training camp because of COVID and all that. So we're really gonna. I think this year is where we're really gonna see him play like he should have played last year, if that makes sense. Like we're gonna see him play to his potential, whereas last year he kind of came off the bench cold a little bit. So this is my thing is like if they don't hit this, it's so funny how like the wide receiver room and the cornerback room mirror each other for the Titans at this point. If your receiver that you don't draft, if the receiver that you draft doesn't ball out, your receiving core is probably not looking very good. If your corner that you draft doesn't ball out, your corners and your secondary doesn't look very good. So now you're relying on young guys to come in and really step up. And that's just, to me, that's just a real bad game to play when you've been so close so many years consecutively to making a push to the Super Bowl. Like it's like, so you're literally like right there, but the positions that you're struggling at, you've got no depth.
man, one thing that I thought was funny was Bud Dupree on his intro to or his interview, whatever presser, when he was talking about signing his contract. They said, "What's one thing you're looking forward to joining this defense and this team?" He was like, "Man, the DBs." I was like, "Bro, what DBs? They're gone. What are you talking about, bro? Like, yeah, name me 3 Titans DBs right now on the roster, bro." Like, so I mean, I just thought that was, he would have been. He'd be like, "Man, they paid me $85 million. I don't care who the back there. That's why I'm here." You feel me? I don't even know, but I just thought that was funny. He said the DBs. Chandler, put the audio magic and put it in.
Now, what is it about this Titans defense right now that really appeals to you?
You know, the DBs, man, the DBs are tremendous. You know, they're doing a great job, man. You know, the inside linebackers is just, I can go on and on about the defense, man, that they're making plays. You know, up front, the big guys, they have it 3 techniques and stuff too. Also, Landry, he does a great job too, man. There's a lot of moving pieces on this defense, and, you know, they're coming together tremendous as we've seen over the last couple of years. Seeing the growth of this organization and seeing in the direction they're going, I mean, you couldn't be more excited for the program.
But he said the DBs. What DBs? What are you talking about?
Man, I'm nervous. That's my thing. Is like a few years ago, you got to think our secondary was straight. Like we had Logan Ryan when he was playing really well. We had Malcolm Butler when he was playing well. Dory when he was healthy, I feel like played pretty well. Like they had depth, and Dean Pease knew how to use those guys. Like he was blitzing Malcolm Butler and Logan Ryan off the corner and like getting pressure that way, but still playing coverage in the backside. Like a few years ago, I was like, man, this defensive back room is good, and Kevin Byard was absolutely balling back then too. Man, it's a real dangerous game you got to play right now for the Titans, in my opinion. So whoever they draft, I'm hoping it's J.C. Horn, honestly, because I feel like he'll lock up anybody. But that's beside the point. So
I like a dude from Alabama, certain the second.
Surtain, yeah.
Surtain, yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Player of the year. So I like him. He's
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, both. Yeah, Sante, man. Hey, he's got that Nashville in him. His dad's from Nashville. That's what I'm saying.
That was the former Titan.
But yep. My mom went to high school with him.
You might as well bring him.
Yeah.
Dang,
My mom was like, my mom was like, Asante Samuel? I was like, yeah. She was like, I went to high school with him. And I was like, oh, yeah. There we go. My dad went to school with John Henderson, like the former Jag defensive lineman, big dude. Yeah, from Pearl. Yeah. Man, it's crazy. But anyway.
Big John Henderson.
Yeah. Shout out Chandler's other cousin, Deshaun Watson, you know.
They're going through it right now.
Oh, man. All right, so I think we're all in agreement pretty much on Adoree. Like, we all feel like he kind of got overpaid. I mean, in layman's terms, we kind of feel like he got overpaid. We're pulling for him, but I don't really know about that. So I guess now the last topic we're going to talk about today before we kind of close it out, We're going to talk about the AFC South as a whole because I feel like we focus on the Titans, which is great, you know, and we've covered pretty much everything for the Titans' sake. But the main thing is I feel like everybody knows it's the elephant in the room. The Colts are the team we got to beat to win this division. So I guess we're going to kick it off with the Colts. They're also the team that did the least in free agency this year, so it's going to be kind of quick. Chris Ballard, he played his cards he kept his money in his pocket pretty much the entire free agency. So I'm going to kick it off real quick, and then I'll let you guys pick a team that y'all want to cover, whichever. But so the Colts, they went out and got Carson Wentz. That was the big thing, which that's a big question mark in my opinion. I know he's back in his offense he's familiar with, but I don't know, man. He's so many years removed from his MVP season. I just don't see it personally. I guess if he kept playing, he would have won it that year. The year they won the Super Bowl. And then they lost Denico Autry to the Titans, which was a big one. They just signed T.Y. Hilton today, so I mean, at least they still have him to go alongside Michael Pittman. But really, overall, like they didn't really do much. They re-signed Marlon Mack, you know, a solid running back, but he's not even the starting running back because of Jonathan Taylor. So, I mean, overall, the Colts really didn't do much. And to me, that tells me either A, they're going to do something big in the draft and they're going to move around and do things there, or that tells me that Chris Ballard feels comfortable with that roster. And he feels like with everything that's going on with the Titans, because obviously we're the biggest competition for them, he feels like they're better than us right now. I think that's what he kind of thinks right now, but I'm not positive on that. So just for reference, I think the guy Chandler's talking about is Pittman because he had 5 catches for 90 yards. So, yeah, Pittman's a dog. Yeah, Pittman's a dog. I mean, maybe that's not the game he's talking about. I don't know. But anyways, so. Yeah. All right, so Demo, which team are you trying to cover? Which one are you thinking?
For me, it don't matter.
I mean, you can do the Texans. That's fine. Well, can take the Jags.
Okay.
So
yeah,
the Jags, or I'm sorry, the Texans, they pretty much went and said, all right, well, we're just going to throw all the money out.
Yeah.
We're just going to sign a whole bunch of people, and we're going to lose J.J. Watt for basically nothing.
Literally.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So what do you think about the Texans this offseason?
Okay. So the Texans, I kind of like was thinking like, okay, what's one word or like one phrase to describe like every team? For me, like the Texans, they're so confusing. I want to use a word like fire sale because of just everything that's going on there. Yeah, definitely. I say like fire sale and then like confusion at the same time. Reason why I'm saying it's a fire sale is because, like I said, they got rid of J.J. Watt. Will Fuller's not coming back. Your quarterback, he's in a whole bunch of legal trouble, but also he doesn't even want to play, even if he wasn't in legal trouble. That's the thing. You're losing like everybody. Like I think he said McKinney. He's gone.
Yep.
Like it's just a whole bunch of things. Like that franchise is like imploding in front of our faces. And you know, it's just I feel so bad for them, but then again, I don't. They're the fake Oilers. I don't care about the fake Oilers. And they can try to reclaim it. They can reclaim it all they want to, whatever. But anyway, I was kind of interested in their moves a little bit because they are in the division. Trying to see what they're gonna do. I did like the only move they made that kind of like worried me a little bit was the Phillip Lindsay move because they're doing a running back by committee group, which I think, you know, some people do that still, like the Chiefs still do that. The Patriots did that for the long number of Brady years with Michelle and White and all those guys. So, you know, outside of running backs, like they really didn't, to me, like commit to anything crazy. Like they signed Tyrod Taylor because they know Deshaun Watson's not probably going to try to play a snap for Houston. The Texans had a really confusing offseason. I feel like they lacked a direction in where they wanted to go. And, that's something that I was kind of just thinking like, okay, you're confusing me because you're not committing to one direction. And it's just looking, pretty iffy in H-Town right now.
Man, they gave Bill O'Brien the whole pot, and he just threw a whole bunch of random stuff in there and just said, all right, we're going to find what's going to happen real quick. And he just started mixing that thing up, and it just blew up. It blew up like that meme where the guy's got the what is it? It's like the pot, it's on the oven, and he like dropped that thing in there. Yeah, all the cream. Man, they gave Bill O'Brien all that love and all that respect that he came in and blew it all up. They got them a franchise quarterback, and he found a way to mess it up. It's
just
crazy,
messed it all up.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
they were just struggling.
Man,
and they lucked into him.
Man, it's crazy. And the funny thing to me, yeah, honestly, he should have been in Chicago. Y'all took Trubisky, so y'all got him. And now who you got? Red Rifle. Yeah, y'all got Red Rifle now. That's true. Anyways, I don't know, man. The Texans, this is the thing, right? The Texans, I kind of just feel like they're in a state of disarray. Like, just like you said, like, they don't have a direction. They don't really have a quarterback right now because Deshaun definitely ain't suiting up for them anymore. They're going to have to get another quarterback because Tyrod's not going to be the long-term answer. They're in cap hell right now. They don't have any draft picks because of everything that they've had going on. Like, they lost 3 generational talents in the span of 2 years. They lost DeAndre Hopkins. They're about to lose Deshaun Watson. And they lost J.J. Watt for essentially nothing, basically, as of right now. Like, I feel like everyone knows they're the bottom of the barrel in this division right now because everything that's happened has led to nothing positive. So, I don't know. I just don't see it getting any better for them. Texans fans are probably very upset right now, and rightfully so. I don't blame them. So, yeah, I don't know. I think the Texans pretty much just need to chalk it up and say, all right, well, we're just going to restart. Like, what we've got going on right now isn't going to work, so whatever, just restart. And they also, me and Chandler were looking this up earlier, was it the team president? They changed team president. So even all the way up to even their most senior members of their front office is still getting moved around. So I just feel like they're in a whole lot of trouble right now, and they just don't have any kind of direction at all. But I know Welton, we got the Jags, #1 overall pick. Sunshine coming in, probably, almost certainly coming in at quarterback. What do you think about the Jags and all these moves they're making? Because I feel like Urban just came in and said, yeah, we're going to blow this whole thing up and restart. So what do you think?
Man, I think the Jags and Houston will be competing for the #1 pick again next year. I think that it's so much like you said, disarray from a culture standpoint in Houston. So many new players. Like, it was like everybody that couldn't get a deal was like, I'll just go to the Texans. Like, it's like OKC, and it's like just a G League team almost. Like, we'll just go to the Texans. I know I'll get a contract there. First year head coach. So I think, but I specifically asked me about the Jags, but I'll just kind of piggyback on the Texans. I think both of them are. And the same thing for, Urban Meyer, first year head coach, he flat out said, I don't like how the NFL does free agency because you don't even get to meet the people that you sign. So I think he's going to have a learning curve to really get onto the NFL level, getting the respect of, grown men in the locker room instead of, college boys or college young men. Excuse me, I don't call nobody a boy. But, I think that's probably the biggest thing is that I think those two teams will be pretty much bottom of the barrel. But I do like kind of what they did on offense for that receiving core. They got Marvin Jones. I think he's a solid, durable receiver that'll get, be a reliable pass catcher for his Sunshine and Trevor Lawrence. And I can't argue too much with that. So I think they did a pretty okay job, but that defense needs a lot of work. Offense, again, it's going to take a while to get that system in place. So I think they'll be bottom of the barrel again, competing for the #1 pick. In my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm also looking at their O-line. Like, they re-signed Andrew Norwell, their guard. They re-signed Cam Robinson, their tackle. They signed, who was it? Philip Dorsett from the Seahawks, who used to be with the Colts. So, I mean, and they signed, They signed 2 tight ends as well. They re-signed O'Shaughnessy, and then they signed one from the Panthers. So, I feel like they're kind of making it a point to go out and get the weapons and the protection they need. They re-signed another offensive lineman. They signed Carlos Hyde. So they definitely went out and got the talent or, what they think is going to be the talent for what they need. But I agree with you. Like, I think they're kind of Houston and Jacksonville are kind of in the same boat. Like, it's pretty much a two-team race in the South right now for the Titans and the Colts. So I don't know if they'll be the worst team in the league. I think Houston's probably in a worse spot than Jacksonville is personally because, at least Jacksonville's going to have a good quarterback. But I just think one of them is definitely going to be at least top 5 in the draft, I'd say, next season. I know Chandler gave a stank face when he said that. I was like,
who's going to be worse? I was just saying, who's going to be worse, honestly?
I think Texans going to be worse. To be honest, I know it's going to sound crazy. I think, and y'all can quote me on saying this, I think the Jags will sweep the Texans.
Sweep the Texans?
I think the Jags will.
Texans don't have a quarterback, yeah.
Exactly. And I think, like I said, they got Laviska Shenault, who I think is highly underrated. I love that guy coming out of Colorado last year. He's a do-it-all Swiss Army knife. Like, if Jabril Peppers in his hype at Michigan played offense strictly, that's what Laviska Shenault is. Like, in Jacksonville. Like, I think he's that good. And then, like I said, got Marvin Jones as well. And then they still got O'Shaughnessy, which, as a Titans fan, he kills us for some odd reason every single year. It's frustrating. But and then, like, they're going to have Trevor. They're going to have a whole new system with Urban. I don't know how it's going to go. For me, that's the only factor that will determine their future. And I know it sounds cliche and it sounds like the Captain Obvious, but it's like, you're kind of like, you're going to get with Trevor. Like, he's literally listed as a generational talent. You know what I mean? So, you kind of know what you're going to get with that, if it pans out well. And, I agree. I think they're both going to be bad. I think this year isn't the year to worry about the Jaguars, but the next 2 to 5 years will be when you need to worry about the Jaguars, when they start piecing everything together.
Yeah. Because I feel like this year they realize it's kind of just like the rebuild year. Like, they're not going to do anything next year, but they can at least start getting, like, the foundational pieces together, and they can just keep building on it. Because once you get a quarterback, everything's easier. Like, once you get a quarterback, it's downhill from there. Like, you just got to build around it. But and that was kind of the same thing they had with Bortles. Like, they had Bortles, and I know I like to talk a lot of trash about him, but he really wasn't that bad. Like, he had a year where he threw 30 touchdowns. Like, you know what I mean? So, but then they got a great defense to build on it, and then they got some offensive weapons, and it just didn't work out. But I think that's kind of where the Jacksonville Jaguars are heading. Like, if T-Law does work, they're heading in the right direction. I think Houston's worse off than they are personally. But that's just me. So, Chandler, I saw you gave a stank face when Welton said something about the number 1 pick. What was that about?
I don't see. It was mainly because I don't see the Jags ending up with the number 1 pick again. They're not going to be competing for that, especially if. You got to think. There's still teams like the Jets who we don't know what's going to happen with Darnold. Look, all these teams that's at the top. Who knows what's going to happen right now? Because all of them are supposed to be getting new quarterbacks. You got Jags getting a new quarterback. Deshaun's not supposed to be playing with the Texans. So then you got
you got the Eagles. Lord knows what's going
Philly.
on.
We don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Hurts.
We don't know what's happening.
There's a lot of moving pieces that is happening. Tua could be out of Miami, so Miami has a new quarterback this year. There's like the teams that are drafting high right now. We don't know. We assume that Joe Burrow is going to come back 100% healthy from ACL. We know that it's a lot easier for them to come back from ACL now than it was 10, 15 years ago, and longer than that. So there's a lot that that's. I don't see the Jags. To me, the Jags aren't that far off from competing it. Like, with the South, to me, they got some weapons on offense. They got James Robinson, who looked like a fantastic running back, but that goes back to that point. You can find running backs anyway in the draft, man. You can pick them up off the
he went undrafted, so,
Exactly. He was top 5 in rushing?
Yeah, I think so.
He was top 5.
So, and I've always liked the receiving corps they had over there in Jacksonville, Keelan Cole and D.D. Westbrook, I believe, are both gone now, so. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Darius, he likes Laviska Shenault, and he's a he's an
Yes.
explosive playmaker. So
Dog.
it'll be interesting to see where they go, but Houston, I would imagine, is the one fighting for that number one pick way more than Jacksonville. I could be completely wrong. You never know. I mean, heck, the freaking any team could be competing for all we know. The Chiefs are going to be down there if Mahomes gets knocked out for the year. I mean, you just never know with the NFL. But
I mean, I just mean not even just between those two. I'm just mean across the whole NFL landscape. Like you said, first 5 picks is Jacksonville, Jets, Dolphins, from the Texans.
yeah,
So it's supposed to be the Texans there. Falcons, Bengals, Eagles, Detroit, Panthers. Panthers, they should take a step up in theory, but they might be there. Jets, Darnold might take a step up, but they might be there. Philly, Jalen Hurts might take a step up. Detroit, I think Detroit will regress because Jared Goff and they have no pass catchers. But if you're talking about Detroit is the only other team that I can say will be legitimately worse than possibly than the Texans and the Jaguars. I can't say that, with the new head coach, you know what I'm saying? Quarterback.
oh,
Damn.
yeah,
What's
I
that?
think
You
might have to-
but it's good. I think we got the point. Yeah.
You get the point. But what I'm saying is that I didn't mean like there's I want the number one pick. I'm just saying they're gonna be that bad that they're gonna be fighting like 1 or 2 win teams the whole year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to me because when you think about it, like they were talking about this today. I forgot what show it was, but they were talking about Miami potentially trading Tua to Houston to get Deshaun because they know Deshaun's not going to want to suit up for them. So, I mean, that's potentially one thing. And then going off what you said, Welton, about the Jets, like I wouldn't be surprised if they trade Darnold and trade back and just get a whole bunch of picks or something like that because I feel like they know he's not going to do what they need him to do.
If
And they were talking
trade
about
Donald, they're
today,
definitely taking a
I
quarterback.
saw – yeah, that's what I'm saying. That like I saw today, I think PFF dropped a mock draft, and they were saying that they could take BYU's quarterback, Zach
Wilson.
what's his last
Yeah,
name? Wilson. Yeah, Zach Wilson. So I don't know. It's crazy, but I just kind of feel like we all know, like as far as the AFC South, it's either the Titans or the Colts. And I think the big card to play in that is, does Wentz take off like he can when he's healthy, or does he play like he has recently when he was in Philly? So I don't know. I think if you really want to break it down, you're pretty much saying, is Tannehill able to come in and play like he has, or will Wentz come in and play like he has? So I mean, it's kind of between those two, in my opinion. Like everything else is about equal. I mean, you got good defense. I think the Titans' defense will be better. I don't know how much better, but it will be a little bit better. But overall, I think it's pretty much the Titans and the Colts, and that's it.
Definitely.
So, yeah, for sure. So is there anything else y'all want to talk about to close out the show? I think we need like a closing segment. I was thinking about this earlier. Like we need to do the good, bad, ugly one more time at some point. I feel like that was fun.
For real.
Me and Chandler start roasting people on it though. I mean, we gotta be kind of careful, but I mean, I feel like we kind of need like a closing segment or something like that. But is there
we can
anything
pick
y'all
that
wanted to
back up,
talk
I guess,
about
next
real
week.
quick? Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that.
Nah, I
Anything
ain't
quick
really got
y'all
much,
wanted to
so.
mention? No. All right. Well, I guess we'll kick it back up next week. We'll have some more stuff to talk about. I feel like we covered a lot of stuff. So I enjoyed hanging out with y'all, talking football like we always do, group chat, podcast, video, everything, But yeah, so I guess we're going to close out right here. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/65 South Sports. Share the show when you can. We appreciate it very much. Thanks, guys.